What's up everyone, I'm back starting off this video in my room. As you guys can probably tell, I'm going to go ahead and virtually explore the top 5 most strangest abandoned places I have found throughout the entire world. These spots I literally never even heard of in my life until I did a ton of research and found out the stories behind them and the exact locations. Also, before this video even starts, I just want to say go to McGran.com and help support the channel. Buy some merch, buy accessories. We have hoodies, stickers, everything, t-shirts. It's all very affordable, so go ahead and check that out. Basically, I hope all you guys enjoy this video. I know it's something a little different. I do enjoy making these videos though, so let's go ahead and jump into the strangest places that still sit on this earth today. First up is Colemans Kop. It's a ghost town in southern Namibia. It was named after a transport driver named Johnny Coleman, who during a sandstorm abandoned his ox wagon on a small incline opposite of the settlement. Once a small but very rich mining village, it was now a tourist destination run by the joint firm Namibia De Beers. In 1908, a worker found a diamond while working in this area and showed it to his supervisor. Realizing the area was rich in diamonds, German miners began settlement, and soon after the German Empire declared a large area, starting to exploit the diamond field. Driven by enormous wealth of the first diamond miners, the residents built the village in the architectural style of a German town. The amenities and institutions including a hospital, ballroom, power station, a school, a theater, and a sports hall. Also a casino, ice factory, and the first X-ray station in the southern hemisphere, as well as the first tram in Africa. The town started to decline after World War II when the diamond field slowly started to deplete. By the early 50s, the area was in decline. The town's demise was the discovery in 1928 of the richest diamond-bearing deposits ever known. These were on the beach terraces south of Colemans Kop, near the Orange River. Many of the inhabitants joined the rush to the south, leaving their home and possessions behind. The town was ultimately abandoned in 1956. The geological forces of the desert mean that tourists now walk through the houses knee-deep in sand. Colemans Kop is popular with photographers for its settings of the desert sands, reclaiming this once thriving town. And the arid climate is preserving the traditional architecture in the area. Due to its restricted area in the desert, tourists need a permit to enter the town. The Florida Dome Mansion. As known as the Cape Romano Dome House, is an abandoned modern house located in Cape Romano, Florida. It was constructed in 1980 by retired businessman Bob Lee, abandoned in 1992, and sold in 2005 to John Tosto. Though originally constructed and intended to sit on land, the shoreline erosion means that as of 2018, it is now approximately 180 feet offshore. The structure was never meant to be accessible by boat and has no landings or docking facilities. Bob Lee, a now deceased retired oil producer, spent much of his years 1978 and 1979 surveying and purchasing land on Cape Romano in hopes of constructing a vacation home. He eventually purchased 4 adjacent plots of land for his project. In 1980, Lee began constructing the home, which was a white painted concrete surface. He purchased a barge to transport supplies for the building. The house consisted of 6 stout interconnected dome structures, which made up the rooms of the house, and some of which had 2 levels. It was 2,400 square feet and featured 3 bedrooms and 3 bathrooms. Lee's daughter, Jane Maples, recalled the construction. Jane said, "My dad thought the corners of rooms were wasted space, as were the corners of the ceiling. He thought the dome ceiling gave the feeling of openness. He was right. The rooms felt very large and open." Before building the Cape Romano structure, he built a full-scale model on land he owned in Tennessee. The Tennessee Dome House is still standing. Lee was known for engaging in his own projects and designed the house to run on solar power and self-sustaining energy. The concrete walls were made out of sand from the old island. Gutters were installed which drained rainwater into a large tank which purified the water and then pumped it into all of the home's sinks, baths, showers, and water-consuming appliances. The house domes themselves were not only aesthetic but practical as well. Their sturdy concrete walls and rounded tops provided superior hurricane protection. The house was completed in 1982 and was valued at $1.5 million. The floors were tile and carpet. The walls were painted white and the rooms had large windows on all sides. 2 years after its completion in 1984, the Lees sold the house to another family. After that family's financial situation declined, the Lees repossessed the home in 1987, after which point it became the family's primary residence. They renovated the interior and stayed there until 1992. That year was marked by Hurricane Andrew. which barely left a scratch on the sturdy home's walls and foundations, but utterly destroyed the interior. Although the hurricane was not the final blow, the Lee family abandoned the home in 1992 as it was no longer habitable. The Holland Island House. Holland Island was originally settled in the 1600s, taking its name from the early colonist Daniel Holland, the original purchaser of the property from Dorchester County. By 1850, the first community of fishing and farming families developed on the island. By 1910, the island had about 360 residents, making it one of the largest inhabited islands in the Chesapeake Bay. The island community had 70 homes, stores, and other buildings. It had its own post office, two-room school with teachers, a church, baseball team, community center, and a doctor. The islanders supported themselves mainly by dredging for oysters, fishing for shad, and crabbing. Their fleet of workboats included 41 skipjacks, 10 schooners, and 36 bug-eyes, some of which were built on the island. The wind and tide began to seriously erode the west of the island, where most of the houses were located in 1914. This forced inhabitants to move to the mainland. Many disassembled their houses and other structures and took them to the mainland, predominantly Crisfield. Attempts to protect the island by building stone walls were unsuccessful. The last family left the island in 1918 when a tropical storm damaged the island's church. A few of the former residents continued living on the island during the fishing season until 1922, when the church was moved to Fairmount, Maryland. Stephen White, a minister, cared for the island for many years and formed the Holland Island Preservation Foundation. In June 2010, White sold the island to the Concord Foundation. In October 2010, the last remaining house on the island, built in 1888, has finally collapsed. The Sansi UFO Resort, also known as the Sansi Pod Houses or Sansi Pod City, were a set of abandoned and never completed pod-shaped buildings in Taiwan. The buildings resembled futuristic houses, some examples of which can be found elsewhere in Taiwan. The site where the buildings were located was owned by the Hung Group. The UFO houses were constructed beginning in 1978. They were intended as a vacation resort and marketed towards the U.S. military officers coming from their East Asian postings. However, the project was never completed in 1980 due to investment losses and several car accident deaths and suicides during the construction. This is said to have been caused by the act of bisecting the Chinese dragon sculpture located near the resort gates for widening the road to buildings. The other stories indicated that the site was the former burial ground for Dutch soldiers. The pod-like buildings became a minor tourist attraction due to the part of their unusual architecture. The structures have since been a subject of film, used as a location by MTV for cinematography and photographed by people, not to mention it becoming such a strong online discussions described as a ghost town or ruins of the future, and these homes are just left to sit here forever. The Monsell Forts. The Monsell Forts are armed towers that were built during the Second World War to help defend the United Kingdom. They were operated as an Army and Navy forts and named after their designer, Guy Monsell. The forts were decommissioned in the late 1950s and later used for other activities including pirate radio broadcasting. One of the forts is managed by the unrecognized Principality of the Sealand. Boats visit the remaining forts occasionally, and there are even companies out there willing to conserve the forts. In the summers of 2007 and 2008, a radio station commemorating the pirate stations of the 1960s, they operated the fort on a 28-day restricted service license. The fort was subsequently declared unsafe, and the Red Sands Radio has moved its operations ashore. Previously, forts have been built in river mouths and similar locations to defend against ships, such as the Grain Tower Battery at the mouth of the Medway, dating from 1855, the Plymouth Breakwater Fort, completed in 1865, and the four Spithead Forts, Horsan Fort, No Man's Land, and St. Helen Forts, which were built in 1865 to 1880. Some of them intended as part of World War I against anti-submarine defense, and even attempted to be used in World War II. These forts are still standing today, and some people even travel up to them on boats to get cool pictures of them. Go ahead and drop a comment down below. Let me know what you guys think of these spots. Did you find them strange, interesting, cool, whatever? Let me know down in the comments. I also want to chat with you guys, so go ahead and drop a comment and I'll try to answer almost everyone. Be sure to go to KyleMcGran.com and check out the merch. I have so much more stuff coming soon, and there's a ton of stuff on the website, so go check that out. It's KyleMcGran.com. I also have a Patreon, which is a donation site that you are rewarded for. Based off what you donate, you can get rewards for, so go ahead and check that out. That'll be in the description below as well. But like always, thank you guys so much for watching. It means the world. Please go ahead, like, comment, subscribe on this video, share it with your friends, and I will see you in the next video. Later.